the 5 things most important for you to have in the apocalypse. That's what we're going to talk about today on the podcast. Welcome, where we talk about this topic and, God willing, many more. Strong, dominant, masculine Christianity, the right way with God at the center, biblical Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. I am blessed to serve you as host, military, law enforcement, private security, contracting, but most importantly, first and foremost, I am a Christian. I don't apologize for that. And I don't try and hide it and put it on the back burner. It is most important in my life and everything that I do, hopefully, and this podcast is not any different than that. With that, let's roll into this. This is a good idea for a podcast. It's not mine. Give credit where it's due. Quick caveat, I don't like those react things, like where somebody's like, react, and they like react to somebody else's thing. So I don't do that. This I don't think is that, though. Honestly, I don't think it's that, or I probably wouldn't do it. But Viking Preparedness, somebody that I'm a patron of, that I support, Viking, and have been for a while. Viking Preparedness, he asked for this. He put out a question and said, if a friend came to you, a really good friend, I think is the way he put it, came to you and said, like, they weren't a prepper, they weren't a survivalist, but their eyes have been opened. They're like, I realize everything's not peachy, and I want to get prepared for the end of the world as we know it, man. The peanut butter and chocolate hitting the fan, as I like to put it. He probably wouldn't say that. But they're like, I'm trying to get ready for things getting crazy. What would I, as their friend, tell them the top 5 things they need are? That's what Viking Preparedness, he asked us to do this. He asked his patrons to come up with this. So I don't think it's like me ripping off their content. He asked for this. He asked for us to think up the top 5 things. So here we go. The top 5 things for the apocalypse. Number 1, surprise to nobody, I hope, the Bible. You need the Bible. It's the instruction manual for life. For everything in life, and the apocalypse is no different. Right? You want to know what's going to happen in tribulation in the end times? The Bible. It tells you. What are you going to get prepared for? The Bible tells you, right? Famine, pestilence, war, right? It's all in there. A lot of really good past lessons for life in general, but for the apocalypse too, right? How to deal with famine. Good tactical lessons, all kinds of good stuff in there, right? And this, our earthly tents, our bodies, they're just temporary dwellings. They're temporary tabernacles, right? So the important part is your eternal salvation in your soul. So you got to get your soul, your spirit right first. And for that, the Bible, right? The instruction manual for life. The Bible is the most important. That's the number 1 thing I'd say. Read your Bible. Because it's way more important than just this, but it applies to this as well. So read that Bible. Not just having a Bible. Like having a Bible and not reading it is like having a rifle that's not zeroed and you don't know how to shoot. It's not even zeroed. You just have it. Like, okay, well, it's not a safety blankie, right? It's not a binky. It's just to just make you feel safe because you have it. It's meant to be used. It's meant to be well practiced with, well versed in. Right? So the Bible. Number 2, gonna make a lot of people upset, but it's the truth. Physical fitness. Physical fitness. You have to be physically fit. I said the body is not the most important. Correct, but it is very important. Everybody wants to focus on the gear, but in order to use the gear, your body has to interface with it. In order for you to fight, you have to get where you're going to fight to. You have to be able to be physically strong enough to fight. The tools are just an extension of your ability to fight. Your body needs to be capable of it. Right? You could have the coolest rifle in the world. If you die of a heart attack kicking down your first door, right? That's not going to do you it's not going to go well for you, right? If you've got the coolest rucksack in the world with all the tactical equipment, but you can't ruck a mile with it without having a heart attack or without dying or vomiting your guts out and being tactically ineffective, right? You get the point, right? I know that in America we're told if you want to be a good American, be an Amazonian, just click and buy it on Amazon and you're a super cool dude and you can post pictures of it and get the Instagram likes. But that doesn't actually matter, right? That's just vainglory. It doesn't actually matter. So physically fit. You got to be physically fit, guys. I'm blessed to be in good shape. Six pack. I can run like the wind. I'm a blessed man when it comes to that. But I have been fat in the past. I was kind of a fat kid growing up until I got into sports in high school. I know what it's like to be overweight. And I lost like 60 pounds in high school by force of will. I didn't even have good advice or good diet. I just by God's grace was blessed to have a good willpower. So I know that it sucks, but you can do it. And the point of getting into that is if you told me that I had to gain 60 pounds right now, but you'd give me whatever rifle and gear I wanted, any rifle I could think of, pick out, I could have it, or any shotgun or pistol, right? Or I could be in really good physical shape with no rifle, no firearm, and the apocalypse was going to happen tomorrow because I can't lose 60 pounds in a day, right? I would be in better physical shape because that's probably going to be way more important. Guys, I'm a professional gunfighter. I've been a professional gunfighter pretty much most of my adult life with short breaks in between. But, military, law enforcement, private security contracting, commander of a tactical team to stop active shooters, fugitive recovery, like literal manhunting. That's me. That's not most of you guys. I'm still a private security contractor. That's not most of you guys out there. And even me. The apocalypse was happening tomorrow. I would rather be in good physical shape than have the best weapons because that's more important. I'm much more likely to need that because that's more important. If I'm physically fit enough, I could probably do something to get a weapon if I need to, if I know how to fight. But if I'm combat ineffective, all the gear doesn't really matter. Be physically fit. Be in shape. Again, the body's not the most important thing, but it is your temporary dwelling, your tent while you're here on this earth. And it's how you interface with the world. So it needs to be effective. Physical fitness, that's the number 2 thing. Yeah, it's going to require more work than you dropping and clicking and putting something in your Amazon cart and feeling cool about it. It's going to take actual work. Literal sweat. Right, I was out rucking last night after work, and it's July, and I'm climbing mountains with a rucksack, and I'm in good shape. And it still sucks sometimes. I get that. It's hard. That's kind of the point. That's how you get stronger. That's how you literally tear your muscles open. That's how they get bigger, and they repair the tears, right? That's how it works. It's unpleasant. I understand. I woke up early this morning to go to the gym before work today. And by God's grace, I'll go this afternoon after work. I know that it stinks. I know that it's not super fun. Do it anyway. Physical fitness, number 2. Number 3 will make you happy. It is a gun. It is a firearm because that's the sword of the day. Let he who has no sword sell his cloak and buy one, right? The Gospel of Luke. Those are the words of Christ. Let he who has no sword sell his cloak and buy one. The number 3 thing is a firearm because that's the sword of today, right? I would say a knife, but almost everybody, even if you're not a tactical guy, has a knife. What man listening does not own a knife? So you probably have a knife. So I'm going to say gun. A firearm. I would like for you to have a basic battery. A basic battery, which I've discussed ad nauseum on the other podcast, Gunfighter Life. I've talked about the basic battery. I've gone over the basic battery, but without getting too in-depth, a good combat handgun, a good fighting handgun, a shotgun, and if you're going to stop at 2, those 2 would be it for me. But you also may want a fighting rifle, a hunting rifle, and a .22. .22 long rifle. So that's a real oversimplified basic battery. But if you could only have 2 for most people, a good fighting handgun and a shotgun will do a lot. And you can, a good shotgun is very affordable. A good combat handgun is a little bit more, but not crazy prohibitively expensive. I'm not getting it into what platforms like a SIG versus a Glock or whatever. Get one and train with it. Get training. But firearms and proficiency, that's number 3. Because the stuff that I'm going to tell you after this, and your life, you have to be able to protect it. You should know how to fight with or without a gun, but a gun is a giant force multiplier. That's why we use them. That's why we send our soldiers into combat with them. That's why we arm our police with them, because they're combat multipliers. If we didn't, we wouldn't bother with it. So, firearms and proficiency. That is going to be number 3. And tying into number 3 is you actually using with them, training with them, and carrying them. Like having your rifle ready, not in a safe, unsighted in. Like I talked about that already, but like having a rifle that's not zeroed is slightly better than not owning a rifle at all. It's basically useless. Because if you need that rifle, you're probably not going to have the time to go out to the range and zero it and then be like, okay, we're getting into a gunfight. I'll meet you at 4 o'clock this afternoon after I've sighted in my rifle. No, you should be able to hit where you're aiming with your rifle. So the rifle needs to be zeroed. It needs to be ready. You need to be able to get it. Or your shotgun. You need to be able to get to it quickly. So having them ready, that could mean having a truck gun, like if you only have your shotgun, maybe have it in your vehicle. So it's where you are, assuming you go back and forth to work or whatever, but having it ready, and the handgun, having it on you. The whole point of a handgun is having it on you. A handgun is almost never a better choice for actual fighting. We don't have handguns because they're great at fighting. We have handguns because it's what we can have on us pretty much all the time. So have the handgun, have training with it, and have it on you. Carry it on you. Have the ammunition that it's likes in a zeroed form you know it's dependable with, and have it on you. Okay, number 3. That's number 3. I think I've harped on that enough. Number 4 and 5 are going to be interchangeable, or not going to be interchangeable. They're going to switch depending on your location, on your geography. But water and food. I'm probably generally going to put water first. But if like you live in northern Maine or New Hampshire or like coastal Oregon, getting good, clean, fresh water, probably not an issue. If you live in Arizona, that's way higher on the list. Actually, a lot of the desert Southwest, from the Great Basin Desert to the Sonoran to the Mojave, I've spent a lot of time in there. There's actually a lot of food there. If you count tubers and things like that and game, there's actually a lot of it. Doves and quail. There's actually quite a bit of food, but not having water will kill you, right? If you live, again, somewhere where there's a lot of clean, flowing, fresh water all the time, and it comes out of the side of a mountain, even if things get really bad, you're probably going to have access to clean water. So those might flip, but water, you need to, not just like, I've got water at my house, when I turn on the faucet, it comes on. But what if you turn on your faucet and nothing comes out of it? Can you get clean water? And I'm not talking about having like a case of water in your trunk. That's a start, and you should definitely have that if you live in the Southwest. But a way to get clean water, and I don't mean boiling. If you've ever, as somebody that spends a lot of time and has lived in the backcountry and spent a lot of time living off-grid, getting enough fuel to boil enough water for you to drink in a day is almost a whole day's job, right? Like, I don't know that a lot of people realize how much work it is to boil water with like naturally gathering wood and boiling, let's say, 2 gallons of water. That's a lot of energy, time and energy. So not boiling, like that's a last ditch emergency thing, but having a better way to get clean, potable water at scale enough for you and the people under your protection, under your covering, with enough people, with enough ability to do that for the people that are entrusted to you. Whether that's a Berkey, whether that's your own homemade water filter, whether it's a well and a hand pump, you need to be able to get clean water. That's important. And food. Again, going back to the Bible, look at a major theme, in from Genesis to Revelation is famine. We live in a pretty different time than throughout most of human history. Most of human history, people are concerned about getting enough food. Right now, most people are concerned about having too much food and being overweight, but that's not historically the norm. Famines move in cycles, and it's been a while since we've had to deal with famine, but we see in Revelation, famines come. So food, having food. Yes, I love to hunt. I live where I live so I can hunt. I live in like the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, Rocky Mountain, free America, largely for the hunting, mostly for the freedom, but a large part of that is hunting. I love the desert, but I moved out of the desert because it's hard to get big game tags and hunt legally in the desert. I live where I live largely for the hunting, but especially if you live east of the Mississippi, you're not hunting big game for food long term. It's bad survival math. There's not enough. So most of places where you live, yes, you should know how to hunt. Yes, you should know how to fish, but that's not really a good feasible survival plan, in my opinion, in most places. Yeah, if you live in the Florida Keys and you have a sailboat, you probably can fish enough to feed yourself. But, most places you're not. So those are a backup plan, but you need to have food, right? The basics, I think humans, we've had grain for a long time because it's an easy storable food. Store grain. I don't care if it's white rice or black beans or a bunch of stuff in between there, right? Black beans matter, man. But I don't care what kind of grain it is. Store it. It stores well. It'll store pretty easily generally. Keep it dry. Keep it from wild swings in temperature. But other than that, it's going to be okay. It's not hard. That's why we have grain. It's an easy store of calories. That's why we decided to spend the effort to grow it, right? It's an easy store of calories. I can't think of a man that if you gave him a pile of grain or a big hunk of ribeye, they would take the grain. I prefer meat, right? But we have grain because it's a lot easier to store that long term than it is meat without, things like refrigeration. Yeah, and I know you can make jerky and biltong, and I love doing that too. But for the basics, for getting started, just having the calories available. Store grain. Store grain, store multivitamins, right? So we got food and we got water. That brings me to 5. I could obviously continue, but keeping with the theme of this, the top 5, if a good friend came to me and said, hey, my eyes have been opened. I forget what color that pill was in the Matrix. I don't have television. I haven't had television in a very long time. But I took the pill, my eyes are opened. I see that, the world is not all fantastic and I can't buy my way out of everything on Amazon. What do I need to do to be prepared? I know that the government's not going to take care of me and what can I do? I need your help. Top 5 things, that's what I would tell them. There's a lot of other stuff, obviously, but those are the top 5 things that I would tell them. And again, give credit where it's due, Viking Preparedness. He asked for this, and I thought it was a good idea for an episode. And it's been a while since I've gone back to the basics of preparedness, so I hope this helps. Consider becoming a patron of Viking Preparedness and myself if you feel led to. There should be a Patreon link in the show notes. With that, your tactical tip of the day. Start wearing practical shoes. Day to day. There is a time when you're just lounging around the house to wear flip-flops or Crocs. Or if you're going to play in the creek or whatever, I get it. But day to day, you're going away from your house, wear practical shoes. And it kills me how many men don't do this. Wear practical shoes. And I've had jobs where I've had to wear suits. Like a really nice suit. I've done executive protection for some of the biggest A-list celebrities, and I've had to wear really nice suits and be in that environment and blend in. You can still find practical shoes. You can find really good practical shoes that are almost as good as actual running shoes that look fine in a three-piece suit. So don't tell me you can't wear practical shoes. Ladies, don't tell me you can't wear practical shoes. What job do you have that you have to wear 6-inch stilettos? Maybe think about a different job if that's your actual job and you have to wear that. But like if you're a female real estate agent, you can probably find practical shoes to wear that look good with an outfit. I'm not a female. I'm not really going to give you advice on that, but practicality is way more important. So just if you want to be prepared in life generally day to day, in order for you to fight or do something, your feet have to get you there. Right? And if I had to fight barefoot, I would. If I had to fight in whatever shoes I had, fine. But that gets to the point of have good shoes or have good footwear, boots. Like I'm wearing jungle boots right now. I'm not saying you have to wear jungle boots, right? I'm also, I wear those for work. I'm a private security contractor. But you're probably not getting away with wearing jungle boots. But you could wear something that's practical. Think about practical footwear, not like whatever, not like Crocs, all right? Like you can own Crocs, but maybe don't wear them to Walmart, right? Walmarts get active shooters. You can look nice for church, but maybe wear practical footwear to church because active shooters happen at church too. So anyway, your tactical tip, wear practical shoes. Your tactical verse of the day. There are so many good ones. We talked about let he who has no sword sell his cloak and buy one. I'm going to read you a brief story that I think drives the point home of being prepared in the Bible. So stick with me here. And she answered, "This woman said to me, 'Give me your son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow.' So we boiled my son and ate him. And I said to her on the next day, 'Give your son, that we may eat him.' But she hid her son. Now when it happened, when the king heard the words of the woman, that he tore his clothes." All right, so if you don't think it can get bad, it's gotten bad in the past. Read the book of Revelation. It said tribulation is coming that's worse than anything we've seen. And we've seen that. We've seen people so hungry, they're eating their children. So if you don't think it can get bad, snap out of it. Don't have normalcy bias. And things are okay and I can click and buy whatever I want. And, Walmart's full of food. Yeah, it is today. Tomorrow is not guaranteed to any of us. So keep that in mind. With that, thanks for listening and have a blessed day.